What's going on, collectors? We're in my living room. I got my wife's and my bookshelves behind me, and here are my top 5 favorite comic books of 2025. And of course, if you like what you see, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe down below. So an honorable mention I want to add is a trade paperback that came out at the beginning of 2025. It is Traveling to Mars by Mark Russell and Roberto Meli. This is an absolute wild ride. It's essentially about a man who's on his deathbed, about to die, and a company hires him to race to Mars to be the first person to land on Mars. And there's a whole lot of political meaning behind there. It is a wild, hilarious, fun ride, very touching as well. Would recommend this for a big read for 2025. So let's start with my number 5. It was Plague House. This is a 4-issue miniseries by Oni Press by Michael Conrad and Dave Chisholm. It is a horror story first and foremost, very graphic, very scary as well. Kind of one of those eerie, you don't know what's going to happen around the corner type of stories. The big thing I really liked about this was that it was done in 4 issues. The story was nicely wrapped up, didn't leave any plot holes, but it really dug through what good storytelling is, but also the psyche of people who are ghost hunters. And that's kind of the basis to the story. They're ghost hunters trying to figure out what happened in this house and see where murders took place, and things kind of go off the rails pretty quickly from there. So I recommend Plague House. This is number 5 on my list. Number 4 is an ongoing. So yeah, I just praised Plague House for being wrapped up and nice and 4, but you know, G.I. Joe's been a lot of fun this year. Initially, when I picked up the first issues in 2024, I was a little hesitant because as someone who's been reading the Transformers and with Skybound and all, I wasn't really feeling this, and I haven't even got this bag and boarded yet. It's still pretty fresh from the comic book shop. This year, they're reading Dreadnought War. This is by Josh Williamson, Tom Riley, and Jordi Belair. This is issue number 15. Issue 16 comes out next week, I believe. This has been very fun as someone who has enjoyed G.I. Joe in the past, like the show and the comics. This really grounds a lot of the characters, but it's not done in a superhero-like fashion. They're still one-and-done stories within the series. There's still small mini arcs that get completed within the run, so you are pretty much left engaged throughout the entire run. You can jump on almost at any point, and it feels still fresh. And of course, if you're a fan of G.I. Joe, like how I was, a lot of the tidbits that get dripped throughout the entire run are quite enjoyable. So I do recommend this as my number 4. My number 3 is by Daniel Warren Johnson. And no, it's not Transformers, it's The Moon is Following Us. And so this is the last issue of the series here. It's by Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rossimo, and Mike Spicer. This is Image, a 10-issue series. If you're a fan of Daniel Warren Johnson, either with his Transformers, or if you've read Murder Falcon, or if you've read Do a Powerbomb, the same type of touching moments that Daniel Warren Johnson is known for runs through crazy in this book series. I will admit the last issue left a little bit more to be desired in my opinion, but this is still one of the books that every month this thing came out, I rushed to the comic book store to make sure I was picking it up, because this was just an incredible story, a very moving story, especially if you're a parent, and I'm relatively a new parent, and this was just, oh my goodness, I pulling at your heartstrings, really showing the love of parenting. And of course, the artwork and the wonder, the fantasy that's going on within this story is absolutely bar none some of the best I've seen this year. So I've mentioned Mark Russell already. He's been doing a lot of work this year. He did Jesus Christ and Toxic Avenger team up. He's done Terror Bites, which is out now. He also did Marvel's X Factor run that wrapped up at the beginning of this year. But Vanishing Point, this is a 5-issue miniseries. Mark Russell did all 5 stories. This particular issue, this is issue 1, was done by Juan Doe. All the other, 6-issue miniseries. The other issues are all done by different artists. This is essentially, if you're a fan of Twilight Zone, each book is its own story. There isn't an ongoing story throughout the entire series. They're all just one-and-done stories, but they are great science fiction. And I did meet Mark Russell earlier this year. I had him sign my copy here of Vanishing Point number 1. I also just love this cover. If you read the first issue of this series and you love it, you're gonna love the rest of the series. They're painful, they're funny, they're ironic, they are just a whole bunch of joy to pick up and see science fiction. And it's only, the best thing about these is that it is a true showcase of what comic books can do. I try to look at these books and see how would this portray itself in a movie or in a TV show. It can't be done that way. This is the beauty of what comic books are all about, how the stories are done in a book like this. Vanishing Point is my number 2 favorite comic book series of 2025. And my number 1, it is Transformers. I have not fell in love with a comic book series as hard as Transformers since Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force. I can't recall a comic book series where I was rushing every month to get to the comic book store to make sure I could get caught up to the most recent issue of the series. Just absolute gut-wrenching stories. As a fan of Transformers, I have talked about in tons of videos in the past, you don't really have to understand Transformers to really get a grasp and get a feel of these robots. I try to look at it as somebody who is not a fan of Transformers. And to be frank, you can really feel for these characters because all of their drives, their needs, their wants, their actionable, the things that keep them going are all very human. So this is still a very human story, although there are very much mostly robots going on in this story. And right now, there's crossovers with G.I. Joe. It looks like they're establishing masks. Spoiler alert. So there's a lot happening in this series, but it is very exciting and engaging. The artwork has been beautiful, and this has been such a joyous read this year. So there's my top 5 comic books of 2025. What did you guys like? Are any of these books that I read on your list? Are there any books that I should have read that I haven't? Because I'm willing to pick up other books. By all means, give me your comic book stuff. I want to know everything that you read this year so I can get caught up. Let me know in the comments below. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, a Happy New Year, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.